First, just to kind of prove the point, SAT scores go up the highest when a student is in a theater program because of the process they have to go through. Music also helps, and so does the plastic arts. So because they create a different individual, the way that we think changes. Our experience becomes one where we become whatever we're working on. So there's this difference that occurs in the student. So I think, you know, I have a story that I use for creativity with my students, and it's kind of strange because I teach at an all-boys school. But I talk about uh, a doctor that when his patients are about to go into labor the night before, he came up with an idea where he puts a little balloon in the uterus and it kind of expands the uterus just a tiny bit. So when they come in the morning, they're comfortable. So when I talk about this to my students, that's the kind of thinking that art brings to your life. The ability to do something different because it's going to make someone, you know, kind of enjoy the experience they're about to have a little bit better, but also because you're not afraid to be creative. You're not afraid to be innovative. And I have tons of students that have gone on to be doctors and lawyers and real estate people and construction people, whatever they need to be. They carry with them the making of a drawing in my class. And Jeannie sees it all the time.
All the time.
You know, oh, we're married, but you know, we have one problem. He won't put that drawing anywhere else. It's always in the living room, you know, and it's a drawing they did in high school and they're very proud of what they did. You know, you can't, giving that person, giving any person that power where they feel that they did something that they thought they didn't have the ability to do. That's amazing, you know. And it's a horrible drug because it keeps you going back. Even at more, it becomes more valuable in your own work at times.
You should tell the story you told me this morning about you had someone who was overlooking an exam.
Oh, I work with the school I work in. It's very academic and it's strongly academic. So when I started there, one of the ways I couldn't move my class from some of the guidelines. So the guideline was such that I had to have a midterm exam and a final exam for my art students. And I taught every 10th grader, which was awesome because I got every one of them. I got the stories, and then the teachers would come back to me and ask me, how did they do with this? How did they do with that? So I talked to the math teacher about perspective, all these things. So during the final exam, I had them draw for about half an hour, 45 minutes, a dried leaf that I went to the park, picked up and brought it in. There was a part where they had questions and answers, you know, multiple choice stuff. But then they had this part where they had to create this drawing. And the priest that was proctoring that exam comes to me after the exam and says, I have never seen that kind of attention from any student in any other class. The attention to detail, the way they inspected the leaf, you know, all of that. And that to me was one of the nicest things anybody has ever said to me. Because if we can give them the ability to kind of look at something, really kind of look at something insightful and work on the detail of it, then that's not something they're going to get in most classes. So for this one proctor, it was an amazing thing that occurred. And I was just like, I treated it like, oh, that happens all the time when we draw. But I didn't realize the value that it had for someone who doesn't make our work. So it was interesting. And I think maybe that's one of the keys to being a successful human being, really paying attention to the detail.